Hey everyone, I am Peter Callahan, and I'm sitting here with Anthony Sasso, who is an acclaimed chef. We're at the James Beard Foundation Townhouse. Anthony's going to prepare a lovely dinner for us tonight, and it's all part of his work for Windstar Cruises. And we're going to talk about his restaurant in Windstar, what we're doing tonight, and all the great stuff you can find with Windstar and their cuisine. It's just amazing here on Insider Travel Report. So, Anthony, how'd you get into cooking?
Cooking well. It's always been a part of my family and my household. I grew up with three sisters. We all gravitated towards the kitchen every single night. And even dining out, was an experience with us. So food's always been a big part of our growing up, and always having a garden to grow vegetables was fun. Our part of New York kind of like puts you in touch with the seasons. So kind of always fostered the way that I cook for the rest of my life, really.
So when you said you grew up with it, where did you grow up?
In the Hudson Valley.
Oh yeah, whereabouts?
Saugerties, New York. So
Sure.
around Woodstock,
Okay.
Kingston, Rhinebeck, Rhinedout.
Now I understand your emphasis on Spanish cuisine. How did that come about?
We have family in Spain. My mom's sister has lived in or near Barcelona for a long time, either all year or part of the year. She's married to a Spaniard. And as I grew older and kind of got out of high school, I found a lot of ways to go to Spain and to travel to Spain and to spend some time there with them, without them, independently, with friends. First thing that you learn in Spain is to appreciate food. So it kind of was like a lot that we already had ingrained in our blood, but totally different cuisine, totally different way of cooking, but at the same time similar. Like we grew up in a very Italian family, but we're introduced to these Spanish flavors through my aunt and my uncle for the most part.
So Windsor has a reputation for incredible cuisine on their ships. How do they find you?
They found me through the house that we're cooking in tonight. The James Beard Foundation really dedicates a lot of their time and effort and resources to finding American chefs and regional chefs, and either through the awards program or the actual dinners that happen in the house or around the country, they foster that a lot. They kind of want to be on the forefront of recognizing and appreciating, the chefs that are born and raised here, which is great.
Now, James Beard was an American early chef, cookbook author. He's sort of the father of the American food movement.
Oh yeah, big time gourmand, and a lot of stuff happened here between his dinner parties and his classes.
Right,
his
so
kitchen
these walls could talk, kind of thing.
Yeah. A lot of people have passed through here, and I've been lucky enough and fortunate enough to cook here a few times. They've invited me either to promote this venture or the restaurant that I've cooked in previously, and they're always open arms when it comes to stuff like that.
Now, you are sort of the creative force behind a restaurant called Quadro 44, which is available on three of Windstar's yachts, their larger motor all-suite yachts.
Yep.
Can you tell us about that restaurant?
Yeah, we kind of got this partnership going a few years back where they were looking for a chef for one of their European legs of their trips that went from Barcelona to Portugal, and reached out to me and wondered if I'd want to go on a 12-day cruise stopping at 12 cities around the Spanish peninsula, Iberian Peninsula. So couldn't say no to that.
They didn't have to twist your arm for that.
No, it was a great time of the year that I got to take almost 2 weeks off, and we stopped in a lot of cities in southern Spain. And I basically brought some of the flavors and touches to the restaurant that I was at the time, Casamono, on board. They fell in love with it. We did some demos. We had a big barbecue and a paella party at the end of it on the top deck. And it was great. By the time we had gotten to Portugal and Lisbon and I'd flown back home, I think it really resonated with them, where they considered putting a full-time Spanish concept on board, and they reached out to me, and I said yes from there, and it's been a great partnership ever since.
That's terrific. Yeah. And there's also other James Beard chefs. Their offerings are represented on the ship as well, right?
Yeah.
So there's different, depending on what restaurant you are in the yacht, there may be other cuisines
all the time.
So
some of their other venues do offer changing menus every single night. But what they do is the brilliance of this partnership with James Beard, especially, particularly, is they again reach out to chefs and ask them if they want to do the same thing that I did a few years ago, which is like, do you want to come on board? have great interaction with some guests in an international venue, showing off, your skill set and your cuisine and your restaurant. And it's all about that. It's all about the collaboration and kind of, letting people from parts of the world that wouldn't always have the chance to maybe get a seat at your restaurant or come to the city that you cook in available, in this type of manner, which is great. It's great for people that don't have those resources at small mom and pop restaurants or even underserved cities that, James Beard really puts a great scope on, which is great for us and great for them. And the collaborations work pretty well. It's pretty diverse and pretty dynamic. And I'm glad I said yes. And I've met a bunch of other James Beard chefs on these trips that have been really fulfilling, which is great.
So if you're a foodie, Windstar Cruises is the line you want to be on.
They're dedicated to, really putting a lot of effort into your meals a couple times a day and the cuisine on board, for sure.
So you're going around the world, you're seeing the most beautiful places, and you're eating the most amazing food.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's hard to get off the ship when it comes down
it's
to
kind of a win-win situation, right. And now, in today's world, people have dietary limitations, So is that a challenge for you? Can you create something that doesn't have this or that,
Yeah, at this point, you have to embrace everybody's tastes and flavors and the way that they want to eat your food. So that means coming up the way that maybe the dish doesn't need something with dairy in it or gluten in it or nuts in it or certain oils. You just have to work around that. And it's not a big deal if you go into the preparation of a dish knowing that these things can be stripped away and the dish can still be great. But the great thing about what we do at Quadro 44 and all the other restaurants do now is there are options for those diners. For diners that can't do dairy, there's options on every menu.
Right.
For diners that are vegetarian, which is a huge, that's a big part of cooking these days anyway. We have those options on all the menus. We even have, salt-free options, which a lot of people are also, for dietary reasons or any other reasons, health reasons, they might not want, certain parts and ingredients in their food, and you just have to work around that.
So you worry, it's maybe a creative challenge for you. Like, hey, how can I make this taste real good without X, Y, or Z ingredients?
Yep.
Okay, so we're having a dinner here tonight at the Foundation House. And what are you cooking up?
We're doing a 4-course meal, 3 savory and dessert. It's going to be a little bit of a platform for the Spanish food served at Quadro, and at some of the other chefs on board are taking on courses as well. So we're starting with the first course is just that perfect invitation to Spanish food where you expect to have paella anytime you go to the country of Spain. We've kind of shrunk that into a tapa, which Quadro 44 does. We take Spanish food and maybe twist it in just a way where it not only pays tribute to the original cuisine, but also something that Spanish food has always been known for, which is stretching kind of like its authenticity and its authentic food in a way that lets people, no matter how much they want to invest in the authenticity of Spanish food, they can also get those flavors. So we're doing a paella croquette, which has the flavors of a traditional seafood paella rolled into a tiny rice ball. That's going to get served with a chorizo aioli. So it's a little bit of the land and the sea, which Spain is very well known for, surrounded by water on 3 sides.
Sure.
And, some of the great meat products also that come from there. Then we're moving into a scallop dish, which is going to show off one of the onboard chefs' menus as well. We'll move back into Quadro 44 for the 3rd course with a lamb chop dish. And then we're going to finish with a chocolate dessert.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Big fan of chocolate myself. So, so this is basically a sampling of type of things travelers can find on,
so if you're on
Windstar.
These trips, they can sometimes last, 10 to 14, 15 days. So you do want to, stretch yourself around the different decks, the different levels, different restaurants. So this is a way to kind of let guests know that there are options for everybody. And there's a lot of different things to be had during your trip.
Well, one question I had, does the menu change based on destinations? Like, hey, we're going to the, I guess there's Windstar is planning some new destinations. Is that going to affect, we're going to tweak the menu because we're going to the Canary Islands this fall?
Not
right.
so much in Quadro 44, but with the international staff that's available and responsible for a lot of this cooking. All the time and I've been on board, we've gotten off the ship and gone to a local market and bought products from that area, that region, that part of the world, and that finds its way on the menu.
Right.
And that kind of is what the other restaurants on board are for, is to kind of really put a highlight on where you are in the world.
Right.
So
Sure.
if you're in Tahiti and there's, a reason to try some Polynesian flavors, you will see that. Or if you're in the European or the Mediterranean, you will find olives and tomatoes and those proteins and artichokes a lot
so you're
more
getting
than
the
if you're in
full
another part of the world.
experience. You're not just seeing it; you're eating it.
Yeah, they're
you're living
embracing
it.
where they are with the cuisine, which is
We're
not a lot of ships do that.
Yeah, so Windstar is focusing on that. It sounds like they really care about their food, and as somebody who really cares about food, that sounds like my kind of cruise cruise line.
That's why I said yes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, is there anything else we should know about Windstar? I assume they have a website people can go to it, Windstar.
Yep, Windstar does have their website, tells a lot
food.
about the restaurant that I'm in charge of and their other restaurants, and we are in the process of updating all the menus to kind of reflect the fact that people just have this hunger while on board to be repeat guests at our restaurant.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
maybe if they feel like they've been 2 or 3 times and they don't want to be contained to that menu, we're working on specials all the time. Kind of give you something else, a reason to come back and
Well, that's
continue
terrific.
to dine with us.
Seems like for our travel advisors, if you've got a foodie customer, you want to send them to Windstar.
This is the place to be on
All
board.
right. Well, thank you so much, Anthony. It's a pleasure talking to you. I look forward to our meal tonight. And this is Peter Callahan for Insider Travel Report.